guys, Andrew here with Verb. Hydrow recently released a lightweight alternative to its original flagship smart rowing machine, and even better, it is nearly $1,000 cheaper. This is the Hydrow Wave, and it might be the answer for those who've wanted a lower profile and lower barrier into the smart rowing fitness space. So in this video, we're gonna review the Wave and dive into some key differences to the original model, both of which were sent to me for review. So thanks to Hydrow for sponsoring this video and sending me the Wave to test and compare to the OG. So the biggest critique many have about the original model is just its weight and its size. Like, it's heavy, and even though it's manageable, it's not unreasonable to say that it's a bit cumbersome, especially if you're working with a smaller space like a studio loft, or for me, a 10 by 12 foot home gym space, which is modular and multi-purpose. So being able to move the rower is a must, and the Wave seems to be their solution to reducing the footprint, which leads us to our first major difference, which is a smaller frame that shaves off about 36 square inches in comparison to the original Hydrow. Now, even though it's 6 inches shorter, the rail itself is about the same length. So if you wear an inseam of 36 inches or less, you should be pretty good. Another advantage with regards to its size is it comes via UPS, so you don't need to set up a scheduled delivery like I had to do with the original. And while you can opt in for in-home assembly, it was actually really easy to set up on my own. It only took me about a half hour. And honestly, I've had harder IKEA assemblies in the past. Moving on, we have to hit on the weight of the Wave, which is over 40 pounds lighter. Now, this for me was the biggest improvement because, as I mentioned in my review of the original, which I will link down below, my home gym is meant to be a modular space, and my rower is constantly being moved around from place to place to open up space for other things. The Wave has a black polycarbonate frame, which is much lighter than the aluminum and steel build of the original model, so tipping it onto its wheels and rolling it from point A to point B is a lot easier and feels much less tippy while it's on the move. Now, one thing to note though is with the original, you can just tilt the rower up into place, and with the upright storage kit, you can easily secure it to the wall. Now, while the Wave is easier to move, you do lose that ability to simply tip it into place, and instead you'll need to buy Hydrow's vertical storage kit and vertical anchor, which both come together for an additional $190. So while it is a better option with regards to its footprint, upright storage will come at the expense of 2 additional pieces. Another notable thing that gets sized down is the screen that goes from 22 inches on the original to 16 inches on the Wave. Now, everything about the screen is pretty much the same, like the speaker placement. It's still a 1920 by 1080p resolution screen, so full HD. It's just smaller. Now, I can see how a few people who might have vision difficulties would be partial to something larger, but this really isn't gonna be an issue. You're still getting that immersive experience through each of the workouts. And I haven't had a problem reading the leaderboards on that right side. Coming off of the original, there was definitely an adjustment, and I thought that this would be a bit of a downgrade, but it's not. If the Wave is gonna be your only rower, I promise you, it doesn't feel like you're missing out on anything because you're rocking a smaller screen. The more significant difference here is while the original model had an articulating screen, the screen on the Wave is fixed. So if your primary means of usage is for rowing, then this isn't gonna be an issue. But if you really do plan on leveraging the full extent of the library to engage in yoga, strength, and mobility workouts, it might be a little bit more difficult for you since you're now viewing the content at an angle rather than being able to tilt the screen and viewing it head on. Then lastly, collapsing the monitor arm is gonna be a little bit different as it's now locked in with a peg, whereas the OG had a button to unlock it instead. So just like the original, you're rowing on Hydrow's proprietary electromagnetic drag technology, and overall it feels as smooth as the original model, but not exactly the same. The OG felt just a little more buttery and had more of a firm feel during the recovery. Again, I would say the feel is very comparable, but not exactly the same. I'm not one to open things up and break down the exact mechanical differences here, but something is definitely different with this iteration, and even though it's built on the same technology, even listening to the sound, it's a little bit different. Moving on, the handlebar is almost exactly the same, and despite its different frame, it can also support up to 375 pounds in weight, much like the OG. While the rowing experience is largely the same, I do want to note a couple small differences. The first is very subtle, and it's just the redesign of the grip on the footrest to reflect more of that topographical design language that Hydrow has adopted. And the adjustment pegs also got a change in their design and features 7 levels of adjustments rather than 8. The other thing is the seat, which is the exact same size as the original, but I did notice that if you happen to lean one way or another, you can feel that seat click up and rise a little bit, whereas the original felt a little bit more firm all around, whichever way you leaned. Now, obviously, the point of rowing is to have proper form and go back and forth without ever having to lean side to side. So, really this shouldn't be a factor. And actually, it's not an issue. It's just a picky observation that I had when I was just sitting on the rower filtering through like different workouts. But no, it has had no impact on my workouts. Now, the last thing that I do want to highlight is the price, since the Wave is coming in at $14.95, which is $1,000 less than the original, which retails at $24.95. And by the way, it is linked down below. Buying through that link helps support this channel, and it's at no additional cost to you guys, so please consider doing that. Now, the connected rower space is obviously starting to grow, but this is the first high quality option under that $2K mark, and it brings it closer to something like the Concept 2 at $900, but it does come with an array of athlete-led content and that digital community. And like I mentioned in my previous review, people buying into Hydrow, they're not buying a rower, because really you can get one anywhere. Amazon, Costco, Instead, they're actually buying into an interactive fitness community, which ultimately holds more weight than the product itself. If you ask any Peloton member, they'll confirm that. The community that you have access to is exactly the same, whichever model you run with, and the membership does cost $38 a month, so you do have to consider that moving forward. Beginners who are just starting out will quickly realize that proper rowing form isn't exactly intuitive and takes a lot of practice to get, the catch, the drive, the recovery. There's a process, and with that membership, you do get access to all the beginner workouts, the live rows, and everything in between. For experienced rowers, there is a huge library of workouts to get at. You'll love it. I get more in depth on the classes in my previous review, so go check that out if you want to see what I already covered there. Each workout is designed to immerse you in a new environment, and there are multiple options to choose from. Now, for those curious about what I'm going to be doing with 2 rowers, I am choosing to keep the Wave in my garage. It's just a better fit, and my original Hydrow will be moved into our off-site office so that the growing Dad Verb team can get some workouts in during lunch. Gonna be paying that membership, and multiple guys gonna be creating their own profiles. So that's the plan. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button down there. It looks like a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos for young families, more than just fitness stuff, we talk about everything related to family, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching this video, and come back for the next one. God bless. Later.